almost just said, hey, welcome to the team call. But hey, welcome to the coach. There's so many of us. I'm like, it's a team call. Welcome to our coach opportunity webinar. This is just our opportunity to kind of share our stories and give you guys some information about what we do as coaches. And we're just normal people living this, what I feel like is this extraordinary business opportunity in life. So we're really just pumped to be here and hopefully serve you with this call. So I know all of our goals here is just to help you make an informed decision. Hopefully give you the insight or inspiration or just information that you need about coaching. And then, you guys can make your decision based off that if you feel like this would be an opportunity for you. So for those of you that don't know me, hold on, I'm muting lines. A lot of people popping on. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Natalie Bailey, and I actually found Beachbody, what was it? 2000 and, Mac, when was it? College, 2009. I did my first at-home fitness program and absolutely fell in love. If you guys know Shanti, I did the Insanity DVDs back when there was no Beachbody on demand or anything like that. It was buy DVDs off. I had no idea that coaching existed, and I was just a loyal customer, and I fell in love with it. It was the thing that kept me in semi-decent shape in college because I still was out working or not out working my fitness because I was drinking a lot and eating fast food a lot and working at a bar. But nonetheless, it kept me from going to the gym that was always incredibly packed. I would go home after class and after work and do these at-home fitness programs. If you fast forward, now 5-6 years later to 2014, it was a time in my life where my husband and I, he's my high school sweetheart, just moved down to Pensacola, Florida. He was going to be a Navy pilot. And he was going through school there. And, that was my opportunity to either pursue my graduate degree and go to vet school or go with my husband. We had already been apart for quite 4 years doing distance. And at the time I just felt like, I'm going to wait on school. I want to travel with him. This is such a cool opportunity to get to see the world. And that's kind of where I wanted to go with it. So I went down there with him and, kind of just was like, well, I've been a bartender like 6 years. Let me just go do that. Let me try to figure out what I'm going to do. And maybe I can use the degree that I have. Well, I couldn't. Nobody would hire me. It was an animal and nutritional science degree. I had no experience in the veterinarian world. I hadn't done any internships yet that really gave me much leverage or added, any clarity or expertise to my resume. So nobody would hire me. So I found myself getting a job at an insurance office completely outside of what I wanted to do. And I knew that insurance could be an opportunity for my lifestyle, being a military life, that there's State Farm everywhere. And State Farm is a wonderful company. My whole family actually works within State Farm. So my husband's family. So I was just like, hey, maybe this is what I'm supposed to do with my life. And I found myself sitting at that desk every single day going, oh my gosh, is this it? Is this what I'm supposed to be doing for the next 50 years, is going into a job that I don't really love, doing my tasks, sitting there, looking at the clock, waiting till 5 to be able to go home, get that DVD workout in and cook dinner, spend a few minutes with my husband, and then get up and do it all over again. And, it was in that time where I felt like just an anxiety and just depression kind of creeping in. I had gained 30 pounds. I wasn't really feeling happy or fulfilled. I was 23, kind of feeling like, oh, I should be somewhere different. I should have a better job. I shouldn't just be making minimum wage. I shouldn't work 40 hours a week for the type of income that I was making. I could just go back to bartending and make the same amount that I make in 40 hours a week on a weekend and bartending. And it was about that time that I had saw a friend come across Facebook, and she was like, hey, I'm running a challenge group with a Shaun T program called T25. And she's like, does anybody want to do it with me? And it was during that time where I was like, I need to get back in shape. If I can't control my situation or my finances or all the debt that I'm in, at least I can control myself and I can get back into shape and I can try to work through these 30 pounds that I had gained over this transition period. So I reached out to her and I was like, hey, girl, what's up? We don't really know each other. Our husbands wrestled together in college. And I said, you know, can I join your challenge group? I don't really know what it is. And she's like, yeah. So she's like, I actually work with Beachbody and we run these accountability groups. You can just get the program. You can buy it from me. And, you know, I'd be happy to just coach you and be your accountability partner. And I was like, hold on a minute. You work for Beachbody? Like, I've been doing their program since 2009. Like, how do you get a job with them? Because I'm for sure that if I got a job with Beachbody, that I would definitely be consistent. And how cool would it be to be able to help somebody else with this platform, you know, running challenge groups and kind of encouraging people as I help myself? Like, what an awesome concept. And she told me it was this network marketing thing. And I was just like, okay, never mind. And I kind of just dismissed it for a little bit. But something just kept bugging me about it. I just wanted to know more. And I'm such a research nerd. So I went to Google. I found Beachbody's website. I found their PDF of all their policies and procedures. And I read about it. I underlined, I highlighted, I printed, I hole punched, I stapled, and I did all my research. And then I went further to go onto YouTube and find what were some Beachbody coaches, because still that term was very new to me. It's very common now that you see Beachbody coaches. And I was just kind of like, what is this? You know, and I'm watching these women tell these stories about how they went from where they were to where they are. And it was this transformation of their life. And I was just like, why not me? Like, here I am, 23 years old with over $70,000 in credit card debt with 30 pounds to lose. What do I need to do? And who do I need to become to be able to achieve that type of success? Because for me, in the current state of my life, the opportunity in front of me, which was my current corporate 9 to 5, there was no opportunity for me to pay my debt. There was no opportunity for me to, you know, have a savings account. There was no opportunity for me to really just further any type of goal that I had financially for my family. I knew one day that we wanted to have children, and now we have a 4-year-old, which is awesome. And I knew that I needed to supplement my income in some way. And I saw those stories of those women, and I was just like, why not me? And I sat down with my husband, and he's like, look, like, you can try, okay? And you know, I believe in you, but you know, we have bills to pay. And this cannot be one of those things where, you know, you're buying all of this product and you're investing so much into your business and you're not getting a return out of it. We can't afford that. He's like, you got 3 months to figure it out. And after that, like, if it's just not helping our family, it's actually harming our family, then this isn't something that we can continue. And I was like, game on, let's go. And I went to work. You know, and it wasn't necessarily that I had all of the answers, because the team I was on 7 years ago almost, it was brand new, right? They were just getting started as well. So we didn't have all of these trainings and systems in place. It was an opportunity for me to kind of just dive in and figure it all out. You know, there was a website with resources, there was YouTube, and there was Google. And I was bound and determined that this was my gift. This was my ticket. I was not the girl standing on the stage that I watched on YouTube, but I was bound and determined to become her, because she was impacting lives, she was changing her own life, and she was impacting her family. And for me, I was like, okay, what do I need to do? Where do I need to start? And I start like goal setting for myself. And I'm like, okay, Natalie, where, like, you have this big vision for your life. That's something that I've always been really in tune with, is being able to think about the things that I want for my life and writing them down on paper. That was easy for me. But it was that disconnect from looking at that piece of paper and seeing how far away those big dreams and goals were, to what could I do today that would get me one step closer? How could I utilize this platform to get me one step closer? And I started to think, okay, well, first, you're in a health and fitness company. it doesn't matter that you're 30 pounds overweight, girl. Like, what's going to be inspiring and relatable and probably different than what other people do is I'm going to take them on a journey. I am not going to wait until I look good or I look like a health and fitness influencer. I'm going to be myself, and I'm going to go to work and do this myself. And that was the accountability that I needed to actually implement the nutrition plans, the Shakeology Daily, everything that I could do. I wanted to be a product of that product. And I wanted to show up and be the best results story, because ultimately what we do in coaching is we get to change people's lives. And if I couldn't prove myself that this could change my own life, how was I ever going to show somebody else that it could change theirs? So step number one was be the best challenger that I could possibly be. Show up, commit, do the 21 days, follow the meal plan, get results. And that's what I did, is I got results. And because of that, I started seeing this traction in my business. I would post every single day, day one, day two, here I go, before and after pictures, progress pictures, kind of on this very vulnerable journey. And, as I went through that process, it was kind of like this invigorating feeling. Like, I was like, oh my gosh, like, I have never stuck to anything in my life. I cannot believe I'm doing this. And I found myself on day 21 that I felt absolutely changed. And I was just like, if I can do that, I can do this next program, and I can go this next route, and I can make these bigger goals in my business. And I helped 3 people this month because I was vulnerable and shared my story. Well, next month I want to help 5 people or 6 people or 10 people. And as my confidence grew, as I started gaining that self-belief, I really started to build momentum and start to create a business. It was just a few months into my business that Kelsey actually saw what I was doing. And I'm going to let her take it over here in just a second. But she was somebody that, and I'm not going to speak for you. You can tell your story, but she was my very first client, or not my first client, my first coach, and somebody that decided to take this business opportunity and run with it for her own reasons. But it was because of my consistency in saying, like, I don't care how long it takes. I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to make this a business. I'm going to help people. I'm going to have a binder of customers that I help get success stories. And because of all this, I'm going to make an income. That, started to attract these people to my team that saw this opportunity for what it is. An opportunity to grow from the inside out and actually impact and influence other people around you. And for me, social media was just it was an easy in, right? It's like we already have this free contact list with social media that I'm not knocking on door to door like they were doing in the 90s. I was using this platform of social media as like a journal, as a tell-all photography journal, everything, to be able to show people what real life looked like. I was showing the emotions that I was feeling, how hard it was not to have the candy bar, and how proud I was of myself that day, and everything that came up and down and in between. And guys, this is how you start your business, is you start by focusing on yourself. And over time, what happens with that is that you get to build belief in yourself, which ultimately gives you confidence to continue to develop and grow in a business. It's been it's 6 years. It'll be 7 years in February since I started my journey as a coach. I've been doing this full time since basically that. I basically started full time as a coach. Through that journey, I've gone through massive life change, massive loss, a pregnancy, C-section. A lot of people use that as not being able to, work out or ever get back to feeling like themselves again. I just crushing all of those limiting beliefs and proving one day at a time that, the community that we have and the programs and products that we have work. So with just deployments, military moves left and right, having a daughter, like I said, dealing with loss personally, it's been just the biggest blessing to have this mobile business and this business that has given our family so much. truthfully, financially and just emotionally and physically. My daughter has been watching her mom work out since she was born, and she knows all the trainers by name. She has her own little weights downstairs and her playroom if she doesn't feel like doing it with mom that day. And I'm not going to tell you that every day has been easy, because it hasn't. If there's any parents on here, you guys know how hard it is to make time for yourself. But I've always tried to just look at this as an opportunity to say, if I can get my 30 minutes in, I'm going to be better for her. And what I have found that it's shown myself and it's shown her is what strong mom really means and what strong woman really looks like. And it's making time for yourself and showing her what health from the home really looks like. And I know for me, that's been a huge driver, because if I was taking that influence outside of my house and going to the gym every day, she would never know what that looks like. And every day she's like, I'm going to eat she's got her grilled cheese, but she's also got her vegetables, and she's going to eat her vegetables because she wants to be big and strong and be able to take care of herself. And she understands what healthy is and what snacks are, and she's making these choices as a 4-year-old. And that to me is like, that's like breaking generational curse. It's like it's breaking streams of obesity throughout our families, and just showing her a different way to see things that I never was able to see. So so many gifts, so many blessings. I'm sure I'll say something else at the end, but hey, Kelsey, do you want to go ahead and hop on here and give some of your tips and stories?
For sure. So guys, I have been in this business about 1 month less than Natalie. So my story is different in the sense that I came into it, honestly, I like to even just say it this way. Like, I came into this because I really didn't feel like I had another choice. I was in a position in my life where I was just at my lowest. And to get you to that point, I've been suffering from depression and anxiety for as long as I can remember, even as a little girl. And I remember that every time that something would be off in my life, I would fall right back into this like massive pit of sadness. And I still go through a lot of that to this day. But when I was younger, my parents dealt with that the only way that they knew how to deal with that. They put me on antidepressants. They took me to therapists. I'd temporarily feel a little bit better. And then before I knew it, something else would trigger it. I lost my best friend in a car accident back in 2009, and I hit rock bottom in my life. It was literally the darkest time of my life. I carried that anger, all that sadness into the rest of my life. I took it into my college classes. I took it into, it was like my main source for going out and drinking extra hard when I was in college, because it was my way of forgetting things. And the thing that was crazy is that I've always had this part of me that I never really understood, which was that my work ethic was off the charts. So my life can be falling apart around me, but I will never like stray my course from what actually still matters to me. And that is something that I've learned about myself over the past couple of years. And I've been hearing that more and more from the people that are closest to me, and they're giving me feedback as I go through this next life transition, which I'm going to talk to you guys about shortly. But no matter what's happening, I will still move forward. And so even though my life was crashing and burning in college, I left school in flying colors. I went to every class. I graduated. I was going to go and be a news reporter, which is all I thought I ever wanted to do with my life. I was going to be the next Susie Colbert. That was my goal. I was going to be on the NFL sidelines. I was going to be reporting on my favorite team. And that was like my end game. I was going to do that. But nobody told me when I was a kid, how unglamorous that life was going to be. Nobody tells us when we're kids how little we're going to get paid, what our vacation time is going to look like. Nobody tells us all that stuff, right? So I took my first job at a small news station in Clarksburg, West Virginia. And I took that job because my mentor that I reached out to said to take what I could get. And that was the very first time in my life that somebody told me not to shoot for the stars and go for what I wanted, but to just settle. And he was already in the business. He was in the Pittsburgh market. So I was like, okay, I will do what he says to do. So I didn't take a sports job. I took a news job. And that news job paid me $21,000 a year. And I was living in this really crappy apartment. I'll keep it tame there. My water heater would go out constantly, and I'd have to drive to the gym to shower. The roof would leak. I had to call on my neighbors constantly because I was frightened and I was scared of what was going on upstairs above me. I was just like, every single thing that I thought my life was going to be post college was not my life. I was struggling. I was barely getting by. I was depressed. And I remember coming home one day, and I talk about this often. So if you follow me, you probably know. But I came home once to a $600 electric bill, and that was more than what I made in 2 weeks. And I remember going into the hallway, turning off the heat in the middle of a West Virginia winter. And I remember putting on like 2 pairs of socks, 2 pairs of sweatpants. I was underneath a blanket, and I had like 2 hoodies on, and I was wearing a hat inside of my house, and I was just sobbing because I couldn't even afford to put my heat on. And I was like, I couldn't imagine that my life was going to get any lower. So when April of 2014 came around, I was 23 years old also. And I was like, you know what? I was coasting, I guess to say at that point. There was no purpose to my life. I was just showing up for work. I was just doing what I had to do. And then I came across one of Natalie's posts. And it was very similar to how she found her coach. Natalie it's funny hearing her say that now, because to me, whenever I scroll past her posts, I was like, oh goodness. Like I will be honest. I thought she was part of a cult. I really did. I thought she was part of something bad. And I was like, oh, God bless her. I'm going to scroll on by because she's part of something that I want nothing to do with. But the thing is that she was the thing. And I remember like Googling what she was doing, and gosh, all it takes is one quick YouTube search to get sent down this massive rabbit hole about how horrible the entire world is. But I still went down that rabbit hole anyway. And I'm like, oh, God bless her. Like, I'm going to keep going. Pray to God that she doesn't get arrested one day. But she was consistent, right? She showed up every single day, and I kept seeing her every single day. And finally I reached out to her and I said, hey, what are you doing? And she was brand new. So like she said, she was trying to figure this whole thing out one step at a time. And she sends me this message back that was this long, explaining everything to me, telling me how much everything costs. And I was like, okay, bye. Like that was cool. And then I like lied to her, went on Beachbody's website on my own, bought 21 Day Fix. And then miraculously, she still helped me behind the scenes, which I'm going to talk more about in a second. But I was scared. I think the biggest part about it is that I was scared because I was broke, and a price tag scared the living shit out of me, to say it lightly. And so I said, you know what? Like, I'm going to go figure this out on my own. And I went and I bought my package. I remember the DVDs coming in the mail because I'm back from the dinosaur era where we had to buy every program on DVD. And the DVDs came in the mail, and these tiny little containers came in the mail. And I was like, oh, like I was like, we're not even able to eat on this. I remember like being so scared. Fear was like my driving force in all of this. But I kept reaching back out to Natalie, and I kept asking her questions, and she kept answering me. So even though I didn't purchase through her, even though I didn't join any of her challenge groups, she would still be there for me. And that was the very first time that I got to see what a coach was, because I didn't know that that was included in my package. Because a lot of times, and for those of you that are on here for the very first time, you may have been approached by a coach. You obviously were approached by a coach because you're on this call. But the thing is that as coaches, I feel like sometimes we undervalue our services. I feel like we say, we are like, oh, you're going to get the fitness programs, and you're going to get the Shakeology, and you're going to get this and that. And she did all of those things for me when I was new. But what she didn't tell me is the power of a coach. Instead, she showed it to me, even when I didn't even enroll with her, even when I wasn't in a single one of her boot camps. It's so funny because to this day, I right now am in my first boot camp with her 7 years later. I never was in any of her challenge groups, but she still was there for me. And because of that, I began to trust her, and I began to see what this whole process was about. And at that point in my life, I thought that news reporting was all I ever wanted to do with my life. And I remember my parents were so adamant on making sure I was going down that path because that's all I said I ever wanted to do. But there had been little tiny things in my life leading up to that point that have actually, it's funny now looking back on it, have shown me that that was never my path ever. It was my path to get to, and I like to get to Tennessee or to get to where I was supposed to be. Because if you ever heard Taylor Swift's song Invisible String, she talks about how there's this invisible string that leads us to everywhere we need to go. And I totally believe that's how I got to Beachbody, because Natalie and I were connected through a bar, and which brought me to Beachbody, which brought me to, you know, the current life I'm living, which I'll tell you in a second. But there is an invisible string for every single one of us. And somehow your guys' invisible string ended up on this call tonight. And there's a reason that you're here, whether that's to join our team or whether that's just to learn, or whether that's because you're about to learn something and give it to somebody else who's going to take this thing and run with it. There's a reason that we all get here. And part of my invisible string was from little moments in my life that have led me here, when I realized, thinking my entire life I was supposed to be a news reporter. But meanwhile, I wear red nails every year at Christmas to remind me of when I was 16 years old. And my boss, who's probably as old as I am now, I'm 30, walked up to me after I was broke and I finally got my nails done when I was 16 at Panera Bread. And I walked in there to work, and she came up to me and she handed me nail polish remover. And she was like, take your nail polish off. And I was like, no, I'm quitting. And I probably was a stubborn teenager, but I look back on that moment and I remember two things from it. Number one, I was never supposed to have a boss, because that was a reoccurring event in every job I've ever had. Number two, I learned the power of a leader versus a manager, and somebody who I wanted to be. And I remember looking at her and thinking, I never want to be like that. So fast forward to the moment that I said yes to becoming a coach. I said yes to becoming a coach because I saw what a leader was. I saw somebody who was willing to take me by the hand and guide me and get me to where I wanted to be when I was at the lowest place in my life. And if she could do that for me, I wanted to do that for other people too. I wanted to take that very first step and to help other people. So it started with me. Just like it started with her, it started with me. And I said, I'm going to get a transformation. I got the transformation. I was never a one toe in, one toe out type of coach. I said, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. She told me on our very first call when she got me started that she was going to quit her job and she was going to be making all kinds of money and get her family out of debt. And she was talking about all those things that she now has. And I remember thinking, this girl's insane. Like, this sounds great, but how is she going to do it? But she, again, painted that picture for me. And then I said, well, again, if she can do that, then so can I. So then I started to pave my own vision. And I got really intentional with every single thing that I did from then on out. And I said, if I'm going to treat this, if I'm going to make this a business, I'm going to treat this like a business. Because if I go in and say, I'm going to be okay, I'm going to do this one day, and then I stop doing it the next day, and then I take a week off of social media, and then I come back for 2 days, then what I am doing is I'm not consistent and not building anything, and my business is going to pay me that way. So I said, Kelsey, if you're going to do this, you're going to do this. And so I did it. In 7 years, I've done it every single day. Through 60 to 80-hour weeks as a news reporter, I was still there. Through infertility treatments, through walking into a bar in 2017 when I thought I was a full-time coach at that point, and still being at rock bottom in my life because I was financially just like suffocating, and pulling through that and saying no. I remember I walked out of that bar and I was like, no, you have everything you need in this business, and it's in your hands, and you're responsible for that. And there is something so powerful about taking control of your life. And this has given me, I could sit here all night and tell you what this has given me, but I will take my husband's words, because my husband said it best when he looked at me and said, Kelsey, they could take this away from you tomorrow for me to keep the wife that I have. Because the girl that I was when I found this, I don't even know her anymore. I don't know. I would hate to be her. This has taken me 7 years of consistent hard work, guys, every single day. I've completed and the best part about it is that you think that it's like there's all this crazy stuff that we do. But I think the coolest stat that I have is that I've completed over 25 Beachbody programs from start to finish. I don't miss a day of Shakeology. I've never had, when I first started, I didn't have weight to lose. I had to go out there and learn how to gain weight, how to get strong. And these programs have got me into the best shape of my life. I was in the best shape of my life before I got pregnant. I gained 52 pounds in pregnancy, and I'm currently 4 pounds below where I started at this very second, and I'm 9 months postpartum. And I've eaten like crap the last 9 months. So I owe this to the fact that I've worked my butt off, and I believe in these programs, and I've still I completed programs through my pregnancy. I completed programs afterward. I was so consistent with every aspect of the business, but it always led back to me. It always led back to what I needed to do to get the results. And I honestly owe the fact that my business is where it is to the fact that I have never given up. I never wavered. If something went off in my life, because a lot went off, a lot went wrong. And right now I'm in the middle of another huge hurdle in my life. I'm battling a lot of postpartum depression and anxiety. I have felt very low over the past 6 months, but I've still shown up. I've still showed up, and I've still shared every single part of this. I went through 17 months of infertility and fighting like hell for my daughter. I've gone through financial hardship. I've gone through so much, and I'm not saying that you're going to sign up and become a coach and all of a sudden all of your problems are going to be gone, because they're not, because I'm still facing some of my deepest demons at this very second. But if I didn't have this, I wouldn't still have hope that I know that I'm going to get through it all. I wouldn't have the community. I wouldn't have what I have in front of me. I worked, and this like fires me up, but I've worked my ass off for the life that I have. And I never would be able to have this if I went the traditional route. If I said, you know what, this is too hard, I'm just going to go back to that life that I keep complaining about. What's harder? That, or just showing up and getting uncomfortable every single day? If you're somebody on the fence, and Mackenzie's going to be such a great person to talk to you guys in regard to like the person that you're going to become through this process. But my huge thing that I like to hone in with coaches that are on the fence is that you have to be willing to sacrifice and do a lot of hard work for the life of your dreams. Nothing about this is going to come easy, but my God, like, it can change everything for you. And don't worry, we teach you how to do it. Because I know you all came on this call expecting, here's how to post on social media, here's how to make the money, here's how to do this. And guys, we teach you all of that. But none of that even matters if you don't even believe that you can do this in the first place. If you don't see yourself in our stories and say, that's me, I'm fighting depression. That's me, my husband's deployed. That's me, I'm at the lowest place of my life. That's me, I'm 60 pounds overweight. And like, you have to see the reason that we got here is because we saw somebody else walk through our shoes and didn't make excuses on why they were going to keep showing up. That's how we got here. And then we get to link arms together and build the lives that completely transform our families' lives. So keep that in mind. You'll have all the tools you need. I'll be damned. You're going to have everything you need to become the best coach possible. But it starts with you seeing that this is something that's going to be the avenue to getting to you to where you want. Because this won't be the miracle thing, but it's going to be the road. And you get to be the driver, and you get to get behind that wheel and say, am I going to do this or am I not going to do this? And that's it. So Mackenzie, you can take it from here.
Okay. Guys, hi, my name is Mackenzie. And honestly, first off, I just want to say, like, what an honor to be with you guys and to be with the two women that just spoke before me, because I was once watching them. I don't know if you guys connected all of this, but we all worked at the same bar in college. And so Kelsey and I, used to stand at the service station and complain about our life and eat chicken wings and burgers. And Natalie kind of like just truly like God's plan strings all the things, became like one of my very best friends. I don't think we were ever meant to meet or become friends, but we became the best of friends. And my introduction to Beachbody happened when I was super hungover. which like makes a difference in my story. So I woke up one morning at Natalie's house and she's like, come do this insanity workout with me. And I'm like, I'm sorry. What? I can't even breathe. I can't even see. I'm so hungover right now. I was still in college. And I did it. I don't know how I did it, but I did it. And I thought she was crazy. But I was like, you know what? I think I could do this. I think I could do these workouts. Like I could do them between work and school. And it was like the first time that I was like, okay, I can actually, my fitness can get convenient for me again. Because I grew up and I was like in sports. I never really worried about all of that. Like I was active, but then college hit and new habits hit and weight started piling on and insecurities started surfacing. And I got really, really good at acting like I felt really, really good, but I felt really, really terrible. Really. I was masking. I was really good at masking pain. I don't know if you guys can like understand what that feels like, but it's exhausting. So I did this program though, and I never really dealt with my stuff though. You know, have you guys ever done that where you're like, okay, I'm going to do the thing, I'm going to grow, but you didn't really grow. You did just enough to feel like you made a difference, but then you just found yourself right back in the valley. So that was kind of where I was at for a long time with my health and fitness, with my mindset, with the relationships in my life, with anxiety, depression, things like that. And then again, Natalie moves away. She comes back. She's like a freaking rock star. She's like shiny. Like she was shiny. I don't understand. I don't know how to explain it. But I just remember seeing her for the first time after she moved away to go be with her now husband. And I'm like, what happened to you? You look happy and you're like shiny because I like you're healthy and you're not complaining and like you look confident. Like what happened to my friend? Like Kelsey said, it's like, what happened to you? And she was taking care of herself. You know, she found this newfound confidence within herself. She became a coach and she was like, you need to do this 21-day fix with me. Meanwhile, I've been like gym memberships, fat blasting pills, give me the cellulite blaster, like whatever can give me the quickest fix possible. I want it. And that continued because I was her first, I think I was like one of the first people that signed up with her just because I wanted to be a supportive friend. And I think I did the program for about a week. So if you've ever committed and then quit, that's perfect because you're going to become a great coach. I know exactly how to coach people now when they start and they go like this and they go like this because that was me. So every single thing that you guys maybe feel like is the reason that you couldn't be a great coach will be the reason that you can be a great coach because you're going to be forced to work through that and it's going to help you help more people. So then fast forward another year later, I was like, oh, that doesn't work for me, Natalie. I just can't get motivated. And like, you know, it just doesn't work for me. I need to do this. And I'm just like, I just don't like home workouts. And, you know, I just need to be doing this. Well, I really kind of hit a wall. And it was actually January of 2015. We're coming up on January. So if anyone's listening where you're even kind of considering going into a health and fitness journey, I was totally one of those I'm starting in January. But what changed for me was I made my new goal that I wasn't going to quit. I don't know I don't know what's going to happen, right? Like, I just know that I'm not going to quit again. And that's kind of become my new mindset with everything is I have no idea what's going to be in front of me, but I'm not going to quit on it because I'm just tired of starting again. I'm tired of letting myself down. I'm tired of disappointing myself. And I was kind of at this place. It was my senior year of school. And I'm like, I don't want to live like this for the rest of my life. Like, have you ever felt that like burning in your belly where you're like, hey, you could be better. You could be better than who you're showing up as every single day. And it was honestly that got me started. I didn't feel great in my clothes and I was not feeling confident at all. But a week in, I always like make sure that I touch on this because I was a week in and I felt amazing. The scale hadn't changed. My clothes still fit the same. I even took before and after pictures a weekend because I was convinced that I was totally transformed. But nothing physical changed. I just had this newfound belief in myself that I was not going to quit and that I was going to see this through. So finally, I jump in with Natalie again and I get into a group. The one thing that I didn't have this whole time was the community support. I had the workouts. I had Shakeology that I never drank. I thought was stupid. I was like, this stuff I don't understand why you want me to drink this. But I didn't look at it at that point. I wasn't looking at it from that whole health kind of thing. I just wanted that quick weight loss, right? But finally I was in a community. There were, I think, like 6 of us in the group. It was like super laid back and super chill. And it was so exciting to feel like, okay, if I do my workout today and maybe share it with the group, that maybe another girl in the group will be excited and maybe she'll do her workout. Or if I was having a hard day, I would go into the group and be like, oh my gosh, Sarah showed up. Like, she rocks. She has like this crazy life. And okay, I'm going to do my workout. And it was after that 3 weeks, that's all it really took, was that 3 weeks of one program where I was like, I just did something I never thought I could do. Right? Like, I wasn't perfect. I think I skipped every Friday cardio workout because I was just against that. I was like, I got to go out on Fridays. Okay. Like, I wasn't drinking 7 days a week anymore, but I was still drinking about 2 to 3. Okay. So it was progress. But in that 3 weeks, I was like, oh my gosh, I just did something for the first time that I didn't think that I could do. And it was like this almost intoxicating feeling. It was way better than the vodka. It wasn't giving me a hangover. It was making me want more. I wanted that more. I wanted to see what else I could do that I didn't think that I could do. So Natalie was asking me a lot, like, why don't you coach? Why don't you coach? Why don't you coach? I did not believe in myself at all to be able to do that. I was coming out of school. I was a bartender. I didn't feel like I could do what she was doing. I didn't feel like I could do what everybody else was doing. I didn't feel actually worthy of anything that this business could actually give me. So I was like, why would I even go into that? But I got to this point where I felt this like this kind of like pull and this like calling, like, Mackenzie, don't be selfish. You know, what you've just grown through, you could give that to somebody else. And maybe Natalie can't give that to somebody like you can, because she doesn't understand the way that you've struggled. And maybe this girl over here will understand the way that you've struggled. And maybe if you can just impact her life, even to help her for the 3 weeks like you've been helped, that says a lot. That's a big deal. Don't keep turning your back on that. So that's really what got my foot in the door. 3 weeks. I don't even remember what the scale said. I don't even remember how many inches I lost, but I felt better. And that's why, your weight loss goals won't happen overnight, but your confidence can change overnight. Your empowerment about yourself can change overnight. So I started coaching, and at first I was just like, okay, cool, I'm happy to be here. Like, what can I do with this? Like, I want to help this girl. And I remember the first time I shared my transformation, you guys, I was like literally peeing down my leg. I hit post and I ran away from my phone. And it's like, what I saw very quickly about becoming a coach is this business will force you. This business is not hard because, like, posting something on social media is not hard, or like messaging someone is actually not physically hard. For me to like sit at my desk and just be here like talking to someone on my phone, not an actual hard thing to do, really. What makes this business hard is it requires you to believe in yourself. And what was shocking for me was how much I didn't. And I think we can go through our lives sometimes because we're just doing things that don't require us to believe in ourselves. So we never really face how much we don't. And then when we do, we're like, wow, this is going to take work. This is going to take work to rewire the way that I think about myself, to rewire the way that I think about what's possible for my life, to rewire the way that I think about my health and the way that I think about who I am. But that is the very gift of this business. And the more you believe in yourself, the more you're able to give to others, and the more your business will grow. Because our income and what this business has provided to us is a direct reflection of the lives that we've impacted for the better. And as they were talking, I'm sitting here like, oh my gosh, I wouldn't be here if they hadn't believed in themselves enough to say, okay, I want to do this, and I want to pay this forward to somebody else. And that's the best work you will ever do, is learning how to believe in yourself. And that's what this business has forced all of us to do. So that might be scary, because it was for me. Okay. All the skeletons started coming out of the closet. She's like, read this book, do this thing, start listening to these podcasts. And all these books and podcasts started to make me realize, wow, I'm kind of a mess. When you strip the alcohol away and you strip, the self-loathing away, and you strip making fun of yourself away, you're like, oh, okay, there's some skeletons in my closet. And so that was kind of scary for me, but I kept seeing what was on the other side of it, because I was surrounded by this community that had walked through that stuff before me. that had normalized talking about going through hard things like anxiety and depression. I don't know about you guys, but like, it's not very often that you're going to hear somebody talk about going through that. And we have a community that wants to support you as you walk through those hard things, because you have a dream for your life and you have a calling on your life. So the first year of my business was a lot of just me growing me, but in the process, I was able to bring in just a small additional income and kind of lift a little bit of the stress. And I made a vision board. Okay. So I feel like I was like, vision boards, that's so cheesy, but I totally did it. I leaned in. I'm like, if you say this works, I'm going to do it. It was my first year in the business. I put like a Florida palm tree on it, a guy with a beard, like all these different types of things. And what I've always loved so much about this business is it doesn't put you in a box. So like I was a bartender, and if I would have kept being a bartender, that's all I was going to be. That's all the income I was going to see every year. That's what my life is going to look like every year. And every year with this business, you know how it's like new year, new me, like what are my dreams? You can actually dream up something for yourself, and you actually have a vehicle to go get it. And every year, a little by little, I've kind of like brought these new dreams to light. And it started with like just having extra money for Christmas gifts. That was like the biggest thing for me ever. It was 2015. I had tons of money to spend on my family. I wanted to get every single person in my family a gift, and for the first time I could. So that was that little bit of relief. I was like, okay, I did that. What's next? 2016 comes around. I'm like, I've always wanted to live in Florida. Don't know how I'm going to do that. But this cool business that I've been a part of has made me realize I can do anything I set my mind to. So I moved to Florida. I took the additional income, saved it, come to Florida, which literally I look back and I'm like, I would have never made that kind of decision. I would have never leaped like that if I didn't have days and weeks and months of believing in myself more and more and more by showing up to a program, doing things I'd never done. And look what it brought me to Florida. It brought me to the love of my life. It brought me to the life that I'm living now. Whoa. Again, it's like the little ripple effects of what this business can do, and you're not even going to realize it. Through that, I started to realize, okay, I do not like being away from my family and feeling like I can't go see them when I want. I don't like the way that, I'm kind of stuck in this job. And again, the dream that I had to be a full-time coach forced me so far out of my comfort zone. It was absolutely terrifying. But little by little, I've been forced to grow into who I've been meant to be. I've been forced to grow in areas that I never thought I would have been face to face with. And the same thing goes for 2020. My income has grown every year and my team has grown every year. But the best thing that's grown every year is me, because I am the one touching the lives and the lives that are in my life. I'm the one impacting Darren. I'm the one impacting his son. I'm the one impacting my future kids. That's how we change generations. And when you hear people talk about like Beachbody has the opportunity to help you build a legacy, yes, that means financial legacy, but it also means breaking generational curses. And what that means is not letting, the same pain that maybe you went through be the pain for your children and their children, because we're totally changing the way we live our lives, the way we think, the way that we act, and everything in between. So the best thing that I feel like this business has given me is, number one, the ability to learn how to push through things that are absolutely terrifying. Because life is not going to just stop throwing us curveballs. It's not going to stop throwing us hard things. So being in this community, if you get nothing else out of it, you will become a better person. You will become healthier. You will become stronger. You'll become more excited about who you are. But then you're going to want to pay that forward. And I tell all my girls, like, do not think small. If you want, because like nobody ever really said like, hey, Mackenzie, what kind of life do you want? It was just like, go to college, get the job, live the life. And when Natalie was like, well, what kind of life would you want in like the next 5 years? I was like, I don't know. I've never had to think about that. And I think we all go through kind of like life on this like autopilot mode where we don't even ask ourselves what our dream life looks like. So maybe you're listening to us talk about our dreams. Girls, don't forget, we didn't even realize at one point that we could dream of a different life. But little by little, we allowed ourselves to open ourselves up to the idea that there was more available to us. And that's what we're asking you to do for yourself. That could be something so small. It could be something so big. But don't sell yourself short in the one life that you get by not going after something that you really want because a business scares you, or you're not really sure how to do it, or you're not really sure if you'd be good at it. Because we all thought the same things. Every single girl on here that's on our team too, all had the same fear. We all didn't know if we could do it. We all were afraid if we were going to be good enough, but we're all going to be there to support you through that. And as long as what you want matters enough to you, you will show up and work through whatever it is that you have to work through to make it happen. Number two, the best thing is the way that you get to impact people's lives. Even if you signed up as a coach and literally helped one person lose 50 pounds, let's use that as an example. That one person affects probably 50 more people around them. They're a better person, and 50 more people might be a better person because they became a better person. There is a massive ripple effect. And then you might be someone like Natalie or Kelsey is to me, that gave someone an opportunity to say, okay, what do I want from my life, to totally transform from the inside out and really, really, really do that. Because like Kelsey said, like what her husband said, that was so perfectly put, is we would let go of, if Beachbody closed its doors tomorrow, it wouldn't change who we are. And that's the greatest gift of all. And I really believe that we change the world one life at a time like that. The more women feel secure in themselves, the less, insecurities we're seeing and the better lives that they're living. So that's all I got. If y'all want to ask us any questions, or Natalie, do you want to kind of wrap it up?
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll just give a minute. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and throw them in the chat, or feel free to unmute yourself. But I just want to say too, if you're kind of like, okay, what's next? We have systems. Like, you're not just going to say yes and kind of just be like thrown in the ocean. It's like, you get off this call, you tell the person who invited you, yes, I wanna give this a go. And you're getting a glimpse of what our community looks like. It's supportive, it's hardworking, it's full of integrity. And we're not gonna sit here and tell you to go push product or try to sell people. We're going to tell you to go to work on yourself. We're going to tell you to start a program. We're going to show you social media tips and tricks. We're going to give you small little daily to-dos that help you get your business off the ground. It's going to be a very structured, easy approach that you get to design. Okay, well, this is what I need to get done in my business. How can I fit that into my day? We're even going to teach you things like time blocking, because let's face it, not everybody hates their job. Not everybody wants to leave their job. A lot of people have kids. A lot of people have other obligations and priorities, but they really want to make this a part of their life too. We're going to show you our time blocking techniques. We're going to give you the tools to show you how you can make this work and it be a part of your life. So don't stress about that. Everything is there. You're going to get to connect with us, your coach, every single day. And you're also going to get to connect to your community like this. We do these team calls every Wednesday night. You're going to get to connect with your teammates and, just learn the business and hear some of the greatest coaches in the network talk. And like I said, it's just an overall way to help you continue to develop. So I just want to thank you for being here and taking this 55 minutes with us. Is there any questions before we hop off? Okay. Nothing? All right, guys, thank you so much for coming, and Merry Christmas. And if you have any questions, reach out and we will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.